people are unsteady and they're uncertain and they're tired, And so I think that's where I feel like some real clarity of purpose on what we're doing right at this moment is like helping leaders find their people, take a breath, figure out how they can focus their energy and kind of refine their determination to make it through.
This is Hourglass, the podcast for United Way of King County in Seattle. Coming up, a conversation about Leadership Tomorrow and Project LEAD. Leadership Tomorrow is a Seattle-based nonprofit organization co-founded by United Way that cultivates a network of leaders to address our region's challenges. It is also the new home of Project LEAD, a nonprofit board training program for people of color, also founded and once housed by United Way. Project LEAD is now accepting applications for next year's training program. For this episode, we'll chat with Leadership Tomorrow Executive Director Bindiya Patel on topics such as the impact of Project LEAD and other Leadership Tomorrow programs. And we'll hear from Nadia Gandara, United Way Senior Director of Equity Strategies, about Project LEAD's transition to a new home. We will also hear from United Way Chief Philanthropy Officer Anna Cronin about our Year-End Fundraising Campaign, and we'll discuss our upcoming free tax preparation campaign. I'm your host, Joe Burris. Thanks for tuning in. United Way of King County has been in the business of developing leaders for more than 4 decades. In 1982, we partnered with the then Greater Seattle Chamber of Commerce to launch Leadership Tomorrow, an organization that would create a community of people across many sectors to build networks and address regional issues. Since then, Leadership Tomorrow has inspired people to create equitable policies and systems to ensure that all communities have the resources needed to thrive. It offers a 10-month flagship program that helps mid to senior level workers build career-enhancing leadership skills. Leadership Tomorrow also provides a 6-month leadership program that gives people with 3 to 8 years experience the skills to grow in their careers. About 10 years after Leadership Tomorrow's launch, United Way created Project Leadership, Effectiveness, and Diversity, or Project LEAD, a training program that has empowered people of color to serve on nonprofit boards. Project LEAD has since become one of the area's most beloved and equity-centered programs. It offers month-long intensive training on topics such as conflict resolution, fiscal management, and board protocol. Each year, the program concludes with a graduation ceremony and board networking event, where graduates can meet representatives of nonprofit organizations seeking new board members. Both Leadership Tomorrow and Project LEAD have left indelible marks on our region. Nearly 3,000 Leadership Tomorrow alumni have become leaders in large and small businesses, nonprofit organizations, boards and commissions, and local and state governments. Project LEAD has placed more than 1,300 graduates on nonprofit boards across the Seattle area. Earlier this year, United Way and Leadership Tomorrow announced that the latter group will now house and run Project LEAD, adding the training program to its growing portfolio of services and resources. The move marks a powerful alignment of values, leadership, and long-standing community impact among the two organizations. Project LEAD is now accepting applications for next year's training, which is slated for March. This episode of Hourglass is a discussion about Leadership Tomorrow and Project LEAD joining forces to create even more opportunities to strengthen our leaders of today and tomorrow. We recently sat down with Leadership Tomorrow Executive Director Bindiya Patel to discuss topics such as the impact of Project LEAD and other Leadership Tomorrow programs and the current landscape for nonprofit organizations. And we also chatted with Nadia Gandara, United Way Senior Director of Racial Equity Strategies, about Project LEAD's transition to Leadership Tomorrow. But we began with Bindiya, who offered more insight about the origins of Leadership Tomorrow.
The idea behind Leadership Tomorrow was coming up at a time where across the country, big municipalities were establishing these what we call community leadership programs. We wanted to bring together and create a space where people who were leading from nonprofit, from public sector, and from the private sector could have a space to meet each other and get to know each other, to develop their own skills and really understand what was going on in their city or their region. And so Leadership Tomorrow was founded in 1982 by United Way and the Chamber. And since then, now it's been almost 42 years that we've been running programs. And really, I would say the impact is we have graduated almost 3,000 alumni from Leadership Tomorrow programs and 1,200 from Project Lead, which you know about, which we'll talk about in a minute. And so this is like 4,000 leaders who are moving around this region who are better connected, more skilled, and really understand the challenges and the opportunities here.
Great. And we are going to talk about Project Lead in a sec, but can you talk to me about the programs that you offer?
Sure.
Services that you offer here.
Yeah, so we now are running 3 programs, and I'll tell you about the first 2. So LT Impact is what was known as kind of our flagship program. That's the one that's been around for over 40 years. You will bring together 80 people over 10 months. They meet once a month in person, and they learn all about what are the issues that are going on in our community, whether it's on the economy, the environment, health, education. They get to know each other really, really well. People tell me that these are the deepest relationships they've developed since college, since graduate school, since growing up. And then they also really work on how do they become better leaders from wherever they're at. So that's Leadership Tomorrow Impact. And then we also just started a new program called Elevate, which is for folks who are a little earlier in their careers who really want to focus on those leadership skills. How can you manage change? How can you communicate more effectively? How can you use your values and your strengths to influence what's going on? So that's the new program.
And so can you compare and contrast those two with Project Lead?
Sure. Yeah. So Project Lead, which, as you know, has been led by United Way for many years, for over 30 years, and we've just taken them on. They've always been a sister program to us. Right. But Project Lead is focused more. It's a shorter period of time. So over the course of a month, you meet 7 times, but you meet in the evenings and on Wednesday evenings and Saturdays, and really, it's like a very short period of time where you focus your learning specifically on what does it take to become a member of a board of directors for a nonprofit or a public commission. And the other different thing is that Project Lead is focused on folks of color.
Good.
And so whereas the other LT programs are open to all folks, Project Lead has been really specifically focused on creating a community feel for BIPOC folks.
Nadia Gandara, United Way's Senior Director of Racial Equity Strategies, said that United Way is confident that Leadership Tomorrow will grow Project Lead and continue our efforts to bolster diversity on nonprofit boards where people of color are often underrepresented.
We know this is the right step forward. Keeping the program alive and thriving in service of the community is what matters most. This marks a powerful alignment of values, leadership, and longstanding community impact. While this transition is bittersweet, the opportunity to build on its impact is something we celebrate.
Bindiya says that housing Project Lead under Leadership Tomorrow will help continue United Way's efforts to ensure that all people of color seeking to join boards understand the expectations and responsibilities involved.
I think one of the first things I want anybody who's thinking about going onto a board is what are the lanes? What's the role of a board member versus an executive director and the staff? And I think that is something that people don't always understand. Like the board is really there for high-level governance and thinking strategically. They're advocates for the organization. They're not involved in the day-to-day operations for most boards. I think there are some boards where it's like more volunteer-run, a working board where they are like so many nonprofits are these teeny tiny organizations where a board does get more involved. I think that's a kind of a different animal. But for a lot of the nonprofit boards here in the region, there's a real distinction between what the board should be doing and what, if you've got a paid staff, should be doing.
And I've, before I really started getting into this work, I didn't know about advisory boards and governance boards.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And how much of that involves your work? Are you training on both of those as well?
Yeah, I think we are probably more on the governance board side. The advisory boards really differ in terms of what they are kind of responsible for. So advisory board members, it could just be like, you're giving advice, but you're not fiscally responsible. You're not responsible for hiring the next CEO or executive director. You're not legally responsible versus like a governance board member. It's really different.
Now, I know
Yeah.
December 16th, you have an info session.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that, particularly for those who are maybe interested.
Yeah, I would love for folks to come, whether you've heard about Project Lead forever and haven't actually done it, or this is the first time you're hearing about it. We'll just do a really easy noontime virtual session where you'll hear a little bit from Elizabeth McDaniel, our new events and program manager who's leading the program, a little bit from me and from our alum. I love talking to the alum of Project Lead. I just met one last night at an event, and she was saying she's an executive director of a nonprofit, but she told me that she is now on 3 nonprofit boards, and she never would have known what to do and how to play that role well if it hadn't been for doing Project Lead. And so it was really great. And so our alum are a key part of like telling the story of what you get out of the program. And so if you're at all interested, would love to have folks come.
And then your priority deadline is December 19th, final deadline, January 16th.
Yep.
And then when is everyone chosen?
Everyone, we're doing it on a rolling basis. So I know we're going to start reviewing applications. So we've already got a handful in the door.
Oh, well, good.
So I know most people these days are deadline driven, but you don't have to wait. Just throw your application in and you'll be hearing from Elizabeth really soon.
And then it starts in the spring, right?
It starts in the spring. You take I think all the sessions are in March. And then we just scheduled our graduation at Town Hall on April 1st. And I hope you'll come, Joe.
Oh, most definitely.
I would love to have you there.
Would not miss it. It's such a fun time. And for those who take part, and your family members are end up becoming members of Project Lead, participants in Project Lead, please come out to their graduation. It's a real fun event.
Yeah.
Talk to me about the landscape of nonprofits right now from a leadership point of view, to a director's point of view. Where does everything stand? In particular, as it pertains to your work in leadership tomorrow.
Yeah, it is a hard time. I mean, I think it's a hard time for a lot of people across the country, whether you're in the public sector, whether you're in a company who's like, the economy is up and down. There's tariffs all over the place. But for nonprofits, I feel like we are getting hit from multiple sides. And I feel like it's one of the most I've been working in this sector for 30 years. Oh, and I feel like it is the most unsteady, uncertain time. Like, I thought we were done. With, when we made it through COVID. Mm-hmm. We're like, okay, we got it. We're like, we can emerge now. Mm-hmm. And now, right now, with all the changes at the federal level, all the budget cuts here in Washington State, a lot of changes in the local region, I just think it's people are unsteady and they're uncertain and they're tired.
Right.
And so I think that's where I feel like some real clarity of purpose on what we're doing right at this moment is helping leaders find their people, take a breath, figure out how they can focus their energy, and kind of refine their determination to make it through.
Can you just tell me a little bit about yourself and how you got involved in this work?
Yeah. So little known fact was that I was actually an engineer back in my previous life. I was trained as an engineer doing environmental work. But I spent a semester in India when I was in college, and I knew I really wanted to work in global development, which led me down to a nonprofit path of in working in multiple countries, mostly based at an organization here, headquartered here in Seattle called PATH.
Okay.
And so I worked with PATH for many years. But one of the things that I always did within the organization was I feel like I was the person that people came to when they were getting stuck, when they wanted to make a change, when they were trying to grow as a leader. And so my kids call me I was like the path therapist. Anyways, so it was just, I was always drawn to organizational development and leadership development work in the things I read, the things I just listened to, and the things I'd love to talk about. And so when the opportunity came up here at Leadership Tomorrow, it felt like a really natural fit for me because I could geek out all day talking about this stuff.
Oh, good. Which leads me to my next question. Can you just talk about looking back on your work here and other places, but really here? Talk about some moments, anecdotes, stories that make you say, you know what, in spite of everything, this is why I do what I do.
Yeah, that's such a good question. I will tell you, one of the stories we've been sharing with our community lately is a participant in one of the Leadership Tomorrow cohorts. I think it was 2017. I'm probably getting that wrong. He was really interested in starting a nonprofit organization while he was in LT, but wasn't quite sure how to get started. He mentioned it to one of the lawyers that was in his cohort, and the lawyer had him come over and helped him do all the filing. And Skeltrum was able to get that nonprofit off the ground. He was thinking about it while he was going through the program, and that program gave him the chance and space and some of the connections to think about it and shape it. And now, since then, he established this organization called Housing Connector.
Well, Skeltrum.
And
he's one of our board members.
Exactly, and he's one of our board members.
Okay.
That's right.
That's
and
so
Skeltrum is just one of those he just joined our board, and I know he's on your board.
Right.
And I feel like since then, it's just when you talk to him, he's like, oh yeah, this gave him the time and space to think about it and the connections to help him get started in that community where, they're now in 5 different states.
Right.
I will also just say, in this timely moment, our new deputy mayor, Brian Surratt, is an LT grad, and our new King County executive, Gramai, is also an LT grad.
Oh.
And he said that it was really during LT that he decided he was going to run for county council.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I feel like apparently I'm featuring only men right now.
Yes,
Goodness.
let's hear some women.
Yeah. So I have to say, this week I caught up with a recent alum, and it was so fun. Her name's Tamika, and she was telling me about the work that she's doing in community engagement for a construction company. She actually moved to Louisiana with Turner Construction, but hearing how she has managed to stay connected with her cohort and hearing how she's involving the community in this work that she's doing in this small town in Monroe, Louisiana, it just made me and she was just glowing. It was really fun to catch up with her, and it was just these small, tiny connections that she had created that continue to maintain. But she was talking about some of the learnings she took from LT, and just the fact that it's no longer just in our region. She's taking some of that and using it out in Louisiana, and she's now going to be working across all of the central United States.
Great. Now you talk about, people of color, but from an intersectional point of view, I'm sure that this is vital for women of color as well. Yeah.
I think one of the things that emerge, especially in some of the cohorts, is that people create small communities. Some of them are really diverse.
Right.
So you have a lab group, or you in Project Lead, you do a mock board, and people get really invested in their imaginary nonprofits. Mm-hmm. But then you make these connections, and some of those you decide to you get to know people who are very different from you, who look very different from you, who've had different experiences. And then other people also, you find communities. I know there's with our last LT25 gathering, there was a gathering into the summer of a whole bunch of Black women came together on a roof deck. And I got to see videos of all these women who came together and just support each other in a way that was really different.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So lastly, if I'm listening to this and I want to get involved, what do I do?
Please come to our website at leadershiptomorrowseattle.org, sign up for our newsletter, or nominate yourself or your friends and your colleagues to join one of our programs. We are recruiting all year round for LT Impact, for Elevate, and for Project Lead. But our applications for Project Lead are open right now. And so we'd love to get more folks in the room who really are interested in joining nonprofit boards.
Perfect, Mindy. Thank you so much for Project Lead and Leadership Tomorrow.
Yeah, they're so fun.
For more information about Project Lead and other Leadership Tomorrow programs, log on to leadershiptomorrowseattle.org. And now a word about United Way of King County's Year-End Fundraising Campaign, which will bolster our efforts to address hunger and food insecurity in our region.
Hi, I'm Anna Cronin, Chief Philanthropy Officer at United Way of King County, and I'd like to take a minute to talk about something that matters deeply to me: hunger in our community. Groceries are more expensive than ever, and programs like SNAP are under attack. Families are struggling to keep food on the table. These are our neighbors here in King County. That's where United Way comes in. This year, thanks to generous community members like you, we've delivered groceries to over 6,700 families through our grocery delivery program. That's over 150,000 deliveries for 18,000 neighbors. But there's still more work to do, and we're not stopping until everyone has enough to eat. Take Jamie, a mother of 4 in South Seattle. She couldn't safely access her local food bank due to unreliable transportation. Weekly grocery deliveries brought her family stability, hope, and nourishment. She told us, "These days it's hard to afford food. I appreciate you guys sending me grocery boxes. It helps me take care of my kids, my dad, and myself, especially with me being pregnant right now." Every delivery isn't just food. It's security, relief, and a reminder that someone cares. That's the power of your support. As this year comes to a close, we need your help to keep food on the table for thousands of families. By giving to our year-end fundraising campaign, your generosity directly provides fresh groceries, free school meals, and emergency food assistance. And right now, every dollar you give will be matched by our board of directors, doubling your impact for those who need it most this holiday season. Join us as we unite against hunger. Give at uwkc.org/donate. And from all of us at United Way, thank you for connecting families to the food they need to thrive, and happy holidays. Hope doesn't quit, and neither do we.
United Way of King County's free tax preparation campaign is gearing up for another tax season. Funded by United Way, the IRS, and the City of Seattle, United Way's free tax prep service is for individuals who make up to $80,000 a year, or up to $96,000 for non-single filers. United Way tax prep specialists help clients understand their tax situations and take advantage of benefits such as the Earned Income Tax Credit and the Working Families Tax Credit. In 2025, United Way served 18,200 of our neighbors, helping them access more than $16 million in tax credits and refunds. United Way tax sites will open on January 25th, but currently we are seeking volunteers for more than 20 free tax prep locations throughout King County, including sites at the downtown Seattle Library and in South Center Mall, as well as our virtual tax site. Volunteers are fully trained and IRS certified. To sign up, log on to uwkc.org/taxvolunteer. At United Way of King County, we are working side by side with communities to build an equitable future for everyone. Hourglass United Way is a podcast that highlights how we and our partners spend time making a difference in our communities. Our work is made possible by the generous donations from people like you. Please send comments and suggestions about our podcast to hourglassunitedway@gmail.com. To learn more about our work or to support United Way, log on to uwkc.org. I'm your host, Joe Burris. Thanks for listening. Until next time.